Welcome to the Don't Die Rusty podcast. I'm Rick Hanson, and we will be talking about living, not dying. We're all on this adventure together, and we will be interviewing people who inspire us to live our best lives. People with various backgrounds who will walk us down the trails they took to not die rusty. Adventure in life are many things to many people. It could be a sprint or an endurance race, but with each adventure, we become a better version of us. We hope you keep chasing those dreams, being the best you, and of course, don't die rusty. Well, hello, Don't Die Rusty Nation. I'm here tonight with some fabulous, wonderful fellas. Ricky Brule, my co-host, and Troy, the Cavs Niehaus.
I forgot about that, man. I got to stare at those beautiful calves for 40 miles.
And you also got to be there when Cavs was created. You Bowcast at the Bird.
That's right. That's right. Oh, the good old days.
Mm-hmm. Those were good old days, weren't they?
It was a lot of fun.
You know,
I was talking to somebody that was at TAC in PA, and they said there was like 6,000 people. Does that sound right?
Well, it's Pennsylvania.
I was like, no way. Like what? Maybe there's like a couple hundred people at Bowcast at the Bird.
You know, in Bowcast at the Bird was just so fun because we were all together. You know, you went from eating you only had those few places to eat, and then you went to the Tram Club.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
And then we had a heck of a good time. We became the South Dakota, Minnesota state champion pool champions.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we did. Yes, we did.
Yes.
And they're still fun. There's just a lot of people at them now. That's wild. 6,000. Holy.
What did the two Utahs get with two mountains the last couple of years?
Yeah, that's pretty big.
I think they were in the 3, but they weren't 6. I just think Pennsylvania. I think they had an extra day in Pennsylvania too.
Okay. Yeah,
I'm not
maybe
positive.
maybe
I'd have to
that's
talk
not
to Sean, but
accurate. But I just heard that, and I was like, "What? Wow, that's like the entire population of the town I grew up in."
Well, it's more than the entire population of the town I grew up in by like 1 trillion.
Math ain't mathin', but all right.
Yeah. Math's not important.
No, you know.
No.
But you know, those times were fun, and that's where we all really got to know each other. And it's interesting because we would drive out there to Bowcast and Total Archery Challenge, but those were the days that I consider Bowcast the Sturgis before it became popular, kind of the wild days where it was just interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And if people think that these courses are tough now, they should have been at some of the earlier Bowcast ones.
Oh yeah. Yeah, there was some pretty wild things we had to do up there at Snowbird.
I know that.
Like so I remember I think they were talking about, Anthony was talking about trying to do one where you had to actually like throw on a harness and rappel down a section of the mountain. And they were like, I don't think so.
Yeah. But there was one that was pretty daggone steep coming down, wasn't it? Yeah. I actually had to lead down and because we had a few people that were scared of heights, and it was really steep.
Oh yeah.
But we had a good time, and those were the fun times. Those were the memories made.
Oh yeah.
So, but in speaking of memories made, you know, I wanted to jump on here and get all three of us together here and just talk about, just because you don't achieve your goals doesn't mean it's not a success. And Troy and I went to Mount Peale to climb the mountain, and we didn't succeed. We saw the top. It was one of those things that I used to be like, if this would have been 20 years ago, I would have probably got on my belly and crawled across snow, and I would have done stupid things just to win, knowing that there's rocks. I would done it where there's rocks to roll on, not the cliff to go over. But that's besides the point.
Hmm.
And it was interesting too, because there's always trials and tribulations when you do the fly by the city your pants tour with me. There's always like a sense of adventure somewhere, and I might as well just start telling you about this. So I think we got to Craig, Colorado, and had lunch, wasn't it, Craig? We stopped in Craig to have lunch, and we got done, and somebody says, "I forgot my shoes." I'm not going to say it was me, because you know me. I had 4 pairs of Solomons in my pickup.
Uh-oh.
So,
I had a couple pair sitting on my front door.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
yep. So we're trying to find places that sold Solomons, and we ended up finally in Moab. But he had to buy. I said, "You are going to be able to climb in those. You don't have any traction, man. There's going to be a little snow up there." I didn't know there was going to be what we had, but and that doesn't matter. I mean, it was about the adventure anyway. But I said, we better. So we stopped in Moab, and it was fun. And Troy got his.
Tell me, Troy, you had like Crocs or Hey Dudes or something like that.
I had Hey Dudes on my feet at my house before Rick picked me up, and I thought I'm just going to wear these, in the truck and around camp, and when we stay in Salt Lake, and for the convenience of it and comfort, and then of course I was going to take my Solomons, and I have some cross hikes that have the best grip I think there is, and used them a lot. Love those hiking shoes, and they might not have been the most important element to what we were going to attempt, but they were right up there, and somehow I walked out the door with everything, and even a few extra things that I probably didn't need, but managed to leave the Solomons sitting by the front door, and didn't realize it till we were way past able to address that more cost effectively. So
yeah, it's funny because we just got done eating Mexican too. We could have maybe floated if we would have ate more refried beans. You know what I mean? But it is adventure. He started looking up, and then like I said, we ended up in Moab. Got him some shoes that had a little traction. Then it's interesting how you go back and relive memories, because that's where I shot my mountain goat, and that's why I really wanted to go back, because Ears and I saw the top of the mountain, but you're hunting. The top priority is a mountain goat. It's not to climb a Dagon mountain, and but it was fun getting back there to see it, to be there, and it was also fun because you can tell stories and you can say this and that about the terrain or the climb, and Troy got to experience it.
Yeah, it's a big country, and it's very pretty, and this was springtime, of course, and everything is green. When you were hunting, you got to see all the fall colors and pretty much full glory, just about.
Yeah, and then we got there and we set up our tents, and then we actually ate and went to bed, and Troy had his tent and I had my tent, and it was one of those, I had some funky dreams, and I got up to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night, and the ground was so uneven that I felt like I was drunk, and I really didn't have anything, but it was good. We got up. I said, I wanted to be on top at sunrise, but luckily I'm getting older and becoming smarter, and I said, let's just start going up a light. And we started going up a light. We got some cool pictures that light, and the ice in the draw. I don't know what you'd call it. A coulee. If you're in the west, you might call it a coulee. In the west, you might call it in our area, you might call it a draw. but it was deep, and it was icy. It was hard ice. The sun hadn't hit it yet, so it had that crust on it. It was slippery. So we crawled over boulders and rocks, and I had one flip over on my leg and slide down it, and just created some blood, because the other problem I have is wearing shorts most of the times where I go, and so I mean that's just one of the deals that happened to me. But it was cool, and it was we didn't. I don't think we took off our base, our jackets till we started coming down because it was windy and cold on top, and
mostly down. The sun came out and it warmed up pretty nice.
Yeah.
So I got a little warm, but otherwise we were pretty comfortable with our jackets and
yeah, but once we
being
got
unzipped.
yeah, once we got down to the bottom after we climbed up there,
Mm-hmm.
then it got out of the wind. Then we
Right.
kind of took off our stuff, but we got up on top, and the choices were, and maybe I had a little altitude sickness, maybe I didn't. I think I did a little because I was a little nauseated, a little lightheaded, and I never had that when I went mountain goat hunting. And then the snow was there, and then we had another problem. We had a 20-year-old kid running around the mountain like it was nothing, and I wish I would have been. And then the other problem, then I start feeling old because I thought, I could have been that kid 30-some years ago. And that makes it. But and you know what's, and Troy can attest to this one. He said, you aren't doing bad for 57, fellas. I'm going, oh my God, now you're making me feel old. So, but he was a good kid, and he actually slid down the whole ice that the ice chute that we were in on his butt and ripped out his pants because we saw him right like when we got to the bottom and talked to him.
And I don't think he used his crampons, but he did have crampons that he could have put on. So him going up the chute icy like that would have been, a lot easier and safer than us trying to navigate that without him, even with our good shoes.
Yeah. But yeah, in all, though, it was a great experience, I think. And then you got to see the country.
Oh, yeah. We were right there. Yeah. Big country, big views, and it's legit country. It's not a hike for the faint of heart, I would say.
No.
You're doing some work, and we spent, because we left camp 5-ish.
Yep.
And it was, by the time we wrapped around and got back, it was closer to 3, I think, when we were all done. So, it was a full day, and we didn't stop much except for getting to the top of that main knob.
Yep.
We relaxed a little bit there, and we had a little snack, and
that's where we had the Don't Die Rusty flag up.
Nice.
And you could see it. But, where I'm going with this is people climb Mount Everest and don't make it to the top. Some of them die, actually. And,
yeah.
And it's not that I was truly afraid of dying. It was why take a chance?
Mm-hmm.
Why, success comes in the adventures that we have, and success comes with how you feel about yourself. And it's funny because I had a few people say you were 400 yards from the top and like 100. It was even probably 100 vertical feet. It wasn't that. We were right there.
Yeah.
And you didn't try. I said, there's times you just got to be smart.
I think if there wouldn't have been that snow cap on that spine between the 2 points, I think it would have been a little different. But
yeah,
that snow and ice was pretty sketchy, and I don't think we were real eager to test it.
No, I like helicopter rides, but not when you have to pay for them to come off a mountain.
Right. Yeah. That's just.
But, it was. I was tired of doing the 8. We did the 8. I've done the 5. I've done the 6. I've done the 7. And I thought this would be a new adventure to do. And it really didn't come to fruition until a few weeks before then, I said, Troy, you want to go? Because I'm thinking about going. I was going to go on my own just because Cindy was going to be gone. And I thought, it's time for Rick to go on an adventure. But yeah, it was good.
Yeah. No, that's good, man. I think that it was good of you to do that. And I also think that, you get to that point where you have to kind of outweigh whether it makes sense to do something like that. And I like that you're able to reframe it in regards to, you still reached your goal, and you can shift that goal as you move along, in accordance with, whatever conditions you're in. So I think it's great. I think it takes a strong-willed person, honestly, to make that decision. So
well, thank you. I think it does too, because I think too many people would either overexert or try to do something that might have got them hurt or whatever. The cool thing about the whole thing is by the time we got down to the chute, though, the sun had been on it long enough that it had about 4 inches of snow. It was about like that, melted. So we would dig into the snow. I fell down once and had to turn around and use my trekking pole to dig into the snow to slow me down because it was steep. And we just went down the snow because it was way easier than going across the rocks. That's what took us so long to get up there, because it was so sketchy. But we went down the snow, and I fell down, turned around, used my, like I said, I used my trekking pole and dug in and slowed down, but that helped us out a ton. And, but, it's all about the adventures. It's all about the people you're with and the discussions you have and the conversations, and you get to like inhale adventure, and that's what I'm about. It's myself. Not everybody needs to do what I do. Not everybody needs to do what Troy does. Nobody needs to do what you do if they don't think that that's what they want to do. But to me, I need an adrenaline rush. I need the view. I need to feel like I'm alive, and this is what does it for me. How about you? Anything?
Oh, I think making the commitment to just, hike up a mountain and see what we saw. I think there's something to be said for that. A lot of people don't think to do those things or never have done those things and don't realize what they're missing out on.
Well,
I'm a dumbass that keeps on thinking of these things.
Well, it's funny because earlier, as I was driving home tonight, I was kind of thinking about that, just about the adventures and everything, and how right now everything is just like, there's not really much letting up on the gas right now. It's just like one thing after another, right? Like, go here, go there, basketball practice, go to work, it's just one thing after another. And so I was thinking about that, like how nice it would be to take an adventure, go somewhere where I can just like turn my brain off for a little bit. And then I started to think about how I can understand how people kind of fall into the concept of just of sitting on the couch, because part of me wants to just take 3 days and just not ever get out of bed and just lay there for like 3 days straight. You know what I mean?
I do.
But the problem is I wouldn't be able to shut my brain off. You know what I mean? So I have to get out. I have to go on that adventure, right? So then I'm like, oh, the Boundary Waters would be a great place to go. But then I start thinking about all the work, right? It's just like, tying up the canoe, getting the fishing poles, portaging the canoe 152 rods to the first, and then you get to the spot, and then you got to portage it another 80 rods. And then you got to, so it's just, there's so much work to it, but at the same time, it's like once you get there, it's just like it's worth it. It's so worth it. And so I think it's great. So even for for me, mid 40s, and I'm sitting here thinking about how I'd rather just lay in bed all day for 3 days. And then you guys are like, hey, let's go do this, and you're up on the hill and you're up there with 22-year-olds, so I think it's amazing. And I absolutely love it. And I think there's a lot of people out there that could use that to use your guys' adventure to kind of help motivate them and get them to want to go out and do more things and inspire them. So I think it's awesome.
Well, thank you. It's one of those things that I can't, like you talk about sleeping for 3 days, and that's, I believe what you're saying in that aspect, because except for me, 3 days is I go to bed sometimes after these things at like 7:30 at night and get up to go to work and, get up to go walk in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
But I know when I need to get that rest, but I also know that I want to get rested up to go on some sort of adventure during the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
I had one of my coworkers tell me he just came back from Cody, and he came back from a funeral in California, but he went to California, came back, dropped his brother off in Cody, and then he came through the Bighorns and said he saw 71 moose. Guess where Rick wants to go this weekend? To the Bighorns.
Goodness.
And that would be a day adventure, because we just go over, take pictures of moose and come home. But that is amazing. And sometimes I wish that I could take the foot off the pedal. But we talked in that one episode, I just can't. But I'm not doing these adventures for anybody but me.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a time when you're trying to prove yourself and look for acceptance or whatever, like we were talking about with Jeff Helm. But I'm looking to fulfill my soul instead of look for acceptance from other people. I'm just pointing out that you can go do it.
Yeah. So what's the next adventure?
Well, the next big adventure coming up is going to be, I'm getting a little, if Emily listens to this, I'm a little tentative here, but I'm going to go out to California and help her. And I talked to her on the phone the other day, and it's like, you just go win this race so I can cheer you on. I'm going to be around and cheering her on, but it felt I'm going to be doing a little bit more than I thought I was going to be doing. But here's the deal. Rick doesn't want to screw up.
Mm-mm.
You got a world-class athlete that can win one of the biggest races in the world, and you don't want to mess this up. And you know what I mean? But that's my next adventure. And then at the end of the month is going to big adventure is going to go to California and watch the Western States. I will be going up in the hills looking for animals and going on a few hikes, and Cindy and I are probably going to the Bighorns this weekend to go look for those moose.
Nice.
And I'm lucky that I have a wife that said, let's go.
That's
so
how about Troy?
Going to a couple of TAC events in Montana and Terry Peak in South Dakota, of course. And then, the rest of the summer is trying to do as much shooting as I can and getting ready for the fall. I was lucky enough to draw a Hills Elk archery tag in South Dakota. So
really?
Yeah. So
nice.
I need to get my poop in a group.
Yeah. I'm working on doing the same. I drew my North Dakota any deer tag again.
Nice.
2 years in a row, which is completely unheard of.
Yeah.
I don't know how that happened. And so Hollywood and Luke at Vapor Trail both drew as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So So yeah, I guess that's the next big adventure. I thought I would be bear hunting up in the Boundary Waters this year of Minnesota, but the draw results are out for the bear tags too, and I hadn't heard anything, so I got to look that up and see if I even drew it. But if I did, it doesn't matter because I'm going to forego that for the trip out to North Dakota. So that's what I got. So,
and then is there going to be the Form 2?
Form the Storm Redemption.
Yeah.
We've discussed it, but I don't think I don't know that we're going to go as extreme as we did before, because last time, and I said this on another podcast, it wasn't really planned out that way, the way that it turned out. It just turned into what it did, it just happened. And so this time now, kind of knowing how things went last time, and not to say that things weren't good, but I don't know. We'll see. I don't think we're going to make another film though. But I know that I'll get redemption. That's for sure.
So go a little earlier?
Yes. Yeah, we're going to go a little bit earlier when it's a little bit warmer.
All right.
And, but haven't really had too much time to really talk about it a whole lot just yet, because I'm still in shock that I even drew the tag. I only had like a 10% chance. Not even. So
if you don't play, you don't get to play in the game.
That's right. I was just expecting to get a point, so
yeah,
to draw is just, I was like, no way, this can't be real. So pretty excited about that. But
well, good.
Yeah,
because I could see you in like the marquee, the Redemption Tour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yep, that's what I got going on. So,
because you could talk to BA and see what the new bow is going to be called, and you could have the Form and the Storm. You never know. Just saying.
Maybe they're launching their new bow this weekend, actually.
Well, they are
Friday. Yeah.
Well, I didn't know that.
At Michigan, at Boyne Mountain.
I'll be darned.
I've seen it. I know.
All right.
But
so, yep. Well, isn't he cool?
Yeah, a little cooler than me.
I'm cool.
You are cool.
I'm in the now. Me and every single prime dealer across the country. Because we all got the sneak peek. So
yeah. Well, cool. But no, I just think we need to look at life in other perspectives. I posted that post this morning about when I was young. I was awkward, and probably you're just trying to get people to like you and look for acceptance and approval in some things, you're just trying to struggle through dating, high school, junior high, that kind of stuff. And and if I could go back in time, I'd like to tell myself, don't be a dumbass like that. Chase your dreams and have the confidence in yourself to be able to do that. Because that's why I do these things. If Troy went to Wint, I would have went by myself. It doesn't matter. Now, I would have probably I would have took my spot along, so Cindy would have felt a little bit better. But I'm lucky to have people that want to do these things with me. And that's where I was going with this, because if you chase your dreams, the good people are going to hang out with you. The ones you're seeking for approval for aren't the ones that they don't give a darn about you. Then don't worry about it,
Yeah.
But I'm going to ask once. I may ask twice, but I'll never ask that third time, because that's the way it is. But I asked him once, and I went, it was kind of like the 8 too. I asked Troy about the 8, and I was going, well, he said yes. My gosh, he wants to be a dumbass with us.
It was fun though. I'm glad we did it.
Yeah, and you guys got to be there when I threw up over the Harney on top there. So
that was a pretty good fake. Nope, not fake.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of those times it was kind of like one of those boy who cried wolf type of situations where I thought Rick was totally messing around. Nope. I mean, I knew that you weren't feeling good, so there was a part of me that was like, okay, I think this is all right. Yeah, I think this is real. You ain't messing around.
But it's interesting because you didn't know about my knee situation until you came back and we talked to Doc, and because I didn't care what we said about my knees when Dr. Jensen and us talked, but this is interesting because of me doing what I'm doing right now. I came off the mountain and last week, and I thought I'd be more sore, but I wasn't that sore coming up climbing that mountain as I was, and my knees felt all right.
It's good,
and that's amazing. It's just amazing stuff. And I still haven't taken an ibuprofen, and I had them along because I didn't know what we were going to feel like when we came off that mountain.
Right? Yeah.
Troy, the funny part about we overshot when we came down and we got to the good road and we missed a spot. So this is why we knew that the guy ripped out his pants, because he's coming down the road and we were only about maybe a half a mile from where we should have been. But he turned around and he had is it a Honda Element?
I think a Honda Element.
A Honda Element. Like instead of a
Toyota Tacoma or a Bronco or some other off-road beast, he was in a Honda Element.
Yeah. And he had everything in there. He was a mountain guide, fishing guide from Park City. He had his bike, he had fishing rods, he had he could live in there, and it was kind of cool. But he said, "You guys need a ride," and it was. You called us 57. You said we were old up on top of the mountain. We might need a ride. So I got all the way in. Troy snuck in behind me. Finally got the door shut. And there's this hill that you have to climb to get to the. Because then he turned in on the 2-track where we were parked, and he said, "This is all the farther I can go." And I said, "You don't need to tell us, because I don't think his Honda Element. I think his Honda Element would have popped a wheelie going up this hill with us in the back end."
I think we met his payload capacity.
I said, "Are you calling us fat?" And he said, I'm not saying anything."
Surprised you didn't just lay across the hood like you did on the 4-wheeler attack that one time.
Well, I wasn't feeling that bad yet, but yeah. But it was good too. Then we got done, and I really wasn't hungry at that point. I mean, I ate a little bit, but we just started taking down camp because we went and drove all the way to Salt Lake to see Kelly and Russ.
Oh yeah.
And that was good. But because we went into Moab and I said, now I'm ready to eat. And I did, last year when we did the 8, I wanted a pizza. This time I got one.
No hot dogs.
No hot dogs. But I got a pizza and we took off driving. And the good thing about these adventures that people don't realize is, they might realize, but when I would have never went through that country. If Troy came down and he suggested going to Salt Lake to see Kelly and Russ, I probably would have hung around, and if I was by myself, I'm saying, and maybe I don't know what I would have done, but I'm saying that we drove through some beautiful country.
Yeah.
And that's what the good thing is, because when you fly by the seat of your pants, it's just, that makes the adventures much better. Because we got to Kelly and Russ's and hung out there for a day and got to do some fun stuff at Badass and watch their dogs, and they were in some trials, and just hang out. Because before we became the friends we are. We only saw each other at events.
Right.
And it's nice to see people that aren't just at events. Like, I see Kelly and Russ at the expo. I see Kelly and Russ at TAC, but there's so many people around, and everybody's, it's just one of those big deals where you never really get to know the people. And we got to hang out and have a good weekend doing that, and then we drove home on Monday at a decent time, and it's good to do these adventures and see the things we saw. Because I probably would have never drove from Moab to Salt Lake.
On the contrast in the terrain and from that real desolate, arid country to Green Mountain and no rain in one area and then a bunch of rain in the next, and only separated by a half an hour or so and a few miles. We were joking about what they could possibly be eating, because I didn't see anything out there that they could be eating. And
no,
we came across that one roadkill.
Yeah.
And I just joked. I said, I think that antelope gave up. I think judging from what's out here or not out here, he just decided he's had enough, and he walked into traffic.
Yeah, trying to graze on asphalt, we said. Yeah. But like, it was also, I love it's so fun too, because like we said, we didn't take our jackets off, and we get into Moab, it's 88 degrees. And it's total difference.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that fact. I could never live in where it's that hot, but I could live where we were, because it was cool.
Yeah.
And it was good. So anyway, but what adventures do you have coming up? I don't know if, you have your deer hunt coming up, but anything coming up soon?
Yeah, no, not really. I mean, we've got our summer is pretty well packed with art shows, so that's going to take up a lot of my time there. And then, we're going to go spend some time with family over the 4th of July. And that's really all the big plans that we have, but we are going to try to sit down and see if we want to take the kids on a camping trip. But, again, she'll be 5 here coming up, so we're fairly limited as I'm sure she would love the opportunity to climb that peak you guys went for, over in Utah. But we have to, we have to slow her down a little bit. So, nothing real big right now, but we do want to try to get out. I mean, we do a ton of hiking locally around here, but and not to say that that's not an adventure, but
yeah. So
that's about it.
No, I think that, I just wanted to get on and say, sometimes we win, sometimes we lose, but sometimes we got to realize, like I told Troy, I said, we need to get back to one of my favorite movie characters and say, a man's got to know his limitations.
I'm trying to think of what that quote is from.
Magnum Force.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Dirty Harry.
There you go.
Clint Eastwood.
There you go.
But I did, we knew our limitations. I'm not going to stop doing stuff. Keep on thinking about doing some other things. I got a couple things in my head that maybe we'll have to think about doing. But that's in the future.
Yeah.
I look at us. I can't stop now. I'm not going to stop, because I think once you stop, you're dead.
Yeah.
I don't want to be dead. So, yeah.
Die rusty.
And that's right. So, anyway, I think this, I just kind of wanted to give a recap of our adventure and chat about a few things. But so I think it was good.
Yeah.
So anyway, anybody have anything else to say?
No, it was a fun trip all around. Glad I went, and I think the only failure would have not to have went on the adventure in the first place.
Yeah,
well, I like hearing that. And the other failure might have been if you didn't get new shoes.
Well, I would have made it a lot more interesting and probably not nearly as fun.
Well, it might have been interesting for me to watch him because when we got in the snow, because they were just about smooth. I'm just saying this. They had a little grip in them, but I think he would have went sliding down the hill, and I would have watched this with a video going, and then I would have went and picked him up.
So maybe that's the next adventure we do. You know, we do 7 Peaks and Hey Dudes.
There we go.
I'll be waiting for you at the truck. I did Crow Peak and Skechers one time. I did
really?
the same thing. I was gonna go hike Crow Peak, wore my casual Skechers that year. By the time I get to the parking lot is when I realized that I had forgotten my good hiking shoes, and I thought, oh, heck with it, I'm gonna go. So I did it, and I won't do it again. That's definitely blisters from way too loose a shoe and no traction, and I went all the way up and all the way down, but yeah, it's not a good idea.
No, it makes me think of I think it was that first year at Snowbird. I'm pretty sure it was because Eric Nathy was with. Do you remember? I think the lift got shut down or something, and so we had to hike. We didn't want to wait, so we just hiked straight down the hill.
Yeah.
And before we went on that trip, I was like, man, I don't really have a real good pair of shoes, and I also didn't have a lot of money either. So I went to Cabela's and I bought some New Balance shoes. Let me just tell you, those they didn't work well for that trip. I was toe jamming all the way down that hill. I got to the bottom and all my toes were just bloody. Horrible.
Well, do you remember, I think you were there. I think, was that, no, I don't know if it was the same year as the Minnesota South Dakota state championships, but there was a lady that came down. She came down
flip-flop lady.
Flip-flops. and this is funny because they had like this party thing, like I can't remember what it was for, but we went there, and she was the most popular lady there because nobody had a foot fetish, but everybody was looking at her feet like, how did you not tear up your feet?
Oh, she was a legend.
And she was right behind it. They were right behind us. That's how we knew that this happened, because they were behind us, and we got down, and you know how you get down and you start putting everything in your pack because it's going to be a little walk out. And,
yeah.
And she came down and went, what in the world? She had just flip-flops on. I do not know how you could done that at Snowbird.
Yeah, that's
my
wild.
Gosh.
That's crazy.
I mean, Troy talks about Crow Peak, but one night I was in this 5-toed shoes kind of thing, and I climbed Crow Peak thinking it was good for me, but it was not, because I got to the top and I'm coming down and I saw a mountain lion and just didn't really move. I mean, I had my headlamp on it, and it kind of was like 30, 40 yards away. And I called up because nobody would have known where I was until they found. Yeah. And I called up Troy. He said, well, I'll be heading up. And I was heading down. And you, instead of being careful where you walked, you're on your way down, and my feet were bruised and battered, and I said I'd never wear them again. So you learn your lessons. And that's when that was, Solomon's have never left my feet.
Yeah.
Since.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the way it goes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely, after that trip, I definitely invested in a much better pair of shoes, and I'm pretty sure that's what started my love for Solomon as well. Yeah.
So I mean, everybody knows my love, but yeah, it's one of those things that the shoes are the make or break you.
Yeah, absolutely.
You truly, I think that's the main thing. If you don't have good shoes, you're going to be in pain for the rest of your adventure?
When I hunted elk in Idaho with my buddy Joe, he's a trail runner, so he'll do like the 100-milers, you know. But when we went up there, he was wearing his trail running shoe that I think he had probably run a few marathons in up to that point.
Yeah.
And I would say, I mean, a majority of the trip, he was nursing his feet the whole time.
Yeah.
And I couldn't understand that, you know, because I figured he'd be the smarter one, you know.
Well, you'd think so, yeah.
But
anyway, well, thank you guys for like reliving these memories and going on these crazy thoughts with me and adventures, because nobody else, I can mention it to people, but they go, why would you want to do that?
I'm usually not the guy that climbs the mountain because it's there, but I guess I'll follow a guy that climbs the mountain.
Yeah, but it's all for the view. It's all for the peace. It's all for the just being able to do it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Like, it's to fulfill the soul. So anyway.
Yeah. And big thanks to Troy for being such a big supporter of the Don't Die Rusty podcast and going on all these crazy adventures with Rick and supporting him in those and you know, being on the podcast with us and everything. And of course, as always, thank you, Rick, for not dying rusty and for, you know, being born and coming up with this idea.
Yeah, well, thank you. I hope we can just keep the rust from ever getting on any of us, you know.
Yep.
Like Jeff Helms said, he wants to burn out, not rust out, and that's how I hope we burn out too. Just done. So
keep that DDR 40 in your back pocket.
Exactly, because I ain't gonna stop. So thank you guys for doing what you guys do, you know. And thank you, Ricky, for being the technical support when I need all this technical support and going, oh my gosh, what's going on now kind of thing. And
of course,
you know, and because you want to know, I think it was it June? I think it was June last year that coming up anyway, I was having technical problems and I called Ricky. I FaceTimed him and he was at a hip hop concert or whatever and couldn't hear me, and I'm just trying to do sign language. Like,
meanwhile, he's got 2 championship bull riders in the room, and you got some hip hop music coming out of Rick's phone, and they're going, what in the world is going on here?
Yeah,
oh, those guys probably knew the words.
Yeah,
it's
yeah. Well, I had one bullfighter and one championship bullfighting clown, so I had everybody there, you know. Yeah. So it was a great deal. So and then there's hip hop, and I'm trying to figure this out, and I'm just going, oh crap. So
I'm like,
you was too. So, but thank you guys for all you do, and thank you for going on the adventures with me that we go on, and
it was fun.
And hopefully we have success in our adventures coming up, and they'll all be successful. And anyway, Chase, Don't Die Rusty Nation, as usual, keep chasing your dreams, being the best you, and don't die rusty.
Thank you for listening to the Don't Die Rusty podcast with your hosts, Rick Hanson and Ricky Brule. The Don't Die Rusty podcast is written and produced by Rick Hanson and Ricky Brule. You can find us on Instagram and on Facebook at Don't Die Rusty. You can rate and review this show on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. You might find your review read on a future episode. Got a question for the Ricks? Send us an email at don'tdierusty@gmail.com. It too could be featured on a future episode. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to the Don't Die Rusty podcast wherever fine podcasts are downloaded.